Sometimes it's easy to assume that there's a single spot in the brain that takes care of this or that function, like an area for memory or generosity or empathy. But in fact, the vast networks of the brain are so much more complex than that. Think of the brain like a city. If you were to look out over a city and ask, where is the economy located? You'd see that there's no single answer to that. Instead, the economy emerges as an interaction of all the elements.
And so it is with reality.
It's Celebrity MasterChef.
20 celebrities who claim to be passionate about food, but can they cook?
I don't want to go now. Of course I don't. No, I'd like to get to the final.
The whole thing is overwhelming to me.
I'm even more determined to win now.
I want to get to the final.
We're looking for an exceptional cooking star. Someone with that extra something special. Cooking doesn't get tougher than this. I don't know whether that's the smell of fear or the smell of cooking.
Out on the field, the Roundheads and Royalists commence battle. In just over an hour, they'll be ready for lunch. But Dick still has 5 pounds of apples to prep for his pudding.
These are the faces of modern-day sex traffickers, Albanian gangsters responsible for a shocking new crime wave, forcing young girls into prostitution.
They're killing people for money, they're raping, doing very, very bad things only for money.
It's happening everywhere. Just in London's Soho, Albanians control 3/4 of the brothels.
I didn't believe that, like, in the 21st century that this sort of thing happened anymore.
This is probably one of the bedrooms where a young 15-year-old would have been brought to, raped.
But how did they get here? How do they operate? And why are they targeting the UK?
I'm Raggy Omar, and I'm going in search of the violent gangs, the high-tech fraudsters, and the organised networks that are the new face of Britain's criminal underworld.
Twenty-first century prostitution in Britain has a nasty edge. The girls are getting younger. The prices for their trade lower. An incredible 85% of the girls are foreigners.
120. 130.
And it's an industry that's been taken over by brutal Albanian gangsters. We'll be going undercover to find out how vicious the industry has become and how the Albanian gangs operate. And I'll be following the horrific case of Elena, a 15-year-old girl sex trafficked into Britain.
In my teenage years, you'd walk around Soho. One remembers all these women in the doorway saying, come on, darling, do you want to come in here and see this peep show? Now, it's become an industry, and that's a very important word because, to me, industry means, product, organisation, profit on a mass scale. It's an industry, one controlled, though, by the criminal underworld.
racist.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's
But
just
he
that
is a
I
racist.
see.
But he is.
Yeah,
It's not.
I know, that's what I don't like about him.
If you vote for him, I think what you end up getting is you get more tension in the borough. What I'd like to do is work to make it work, right? So that you feel it's fair.
I'm never going to beat him on immigration. And if they see everything through immigration, it makes it very difficult. So, you know, when they talk about housing, it's code for immigration.
I'm Margaret Hodge, I'm the MP.
Hello there.
Nice to meet you. Hi. You going BMP or?
Probably BMP, yeah.
Probably BMP.
Yeah.
Are you? Why are you doing that?
I just normally do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
How would you like a nice smack in the head? Not very much. Well then shut your mouth and get out of my way with that thing.
This man is Ty Beeson, and he is responsible for bum fights, a video for sale on the internet which shows tramps being subjected to humiliation and abuse.
Hey, you want $1? We got some money. We got a nickel, I think. Can you do some stuff for video?
What's that? There's some crates back there you can walk into. Shit.
Watching bum fights affected me deeply. It was the funniest thing I'd seen all year. Bum fights has made me think about many things. About whether those at the bottom of society's piles should be allowed to humiliate themselves in the name of entertainment. About why I laugh when watching the dispossessed degrade themselves. About whether this makes me morally bankrupt or simply human. So I've come to Las Vegas where the videos are made to try and find some answers. Bum fights has really got to me. I can't fake outrage that I don't feel, but that doesn't mean I am completely comfortable with it. I'm hoping that watching Ty in action will settle the issue for me once and for all. And after a year of delicate negotiations, he's finally agreed to let me tag along as he hunts for new footage downtown.
All right, this is where it all goes down, okay? This is the homeless shelter right here. This is Bum Central, okay? That chick walking across the street right there looks really nutty. I'm gonna go see what she has to say. See, this is where you find all the talent at, right here. All right? I'll be right back.
That's funny, get it, man!
Ty knows where his priorities lie,
well, maybe we'll get
and he's tenacious when challenged.
What's up, man?
These guys didn't buy his story, but Ty wasn't backing down, and he can spin for America.
We can't show that on the news, though, man.
Y'all really from the news, man?
Yeah, man. Channel 5, brother. I gave that guy my card who was with the homeless shelter right there. Yeah, we can't show a guy shitting on the news. They can't. That's indecent exposure, man. You know what I'm saying?
All right, check this out here. Check this
What?
out.
If you don't want to be in camera, then you won't be on news.
You take everybody's picture.
But it won't be shown on the news. It won't be shown.
I got no money.
With no permission, you can go to jail for that.
Ty wasn't prepared to buy their consent. He seemed to enjoy flirting with danger, but then things turned ugly.
Surveillance camera, you go to jail. You go to jail for that.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't throw the rock, yeah.
$25 right now. He got shit. Look, you got
something illegal.
You can go to
well,
jail.
this is illegal right now, dog.
We're not going to show you on the news.
Hey, y'all come through and get camera film like that. Come on, dog.
I'm just telling you. I know, just listen to this. All right.
If you're going to do a kids' pie, you do it, and you do it right.
Good afternoon, sir. How may I help you?
I've got a party to rescue. Little chavvies, you know, kids. So what you got then?
Well, sir, how about some party poppers?
Fucking hell! What was that? Was that a shooter? It's not that type of do, mate. We ain't going to work like that. Ain't you got something nicer? Something tame?
How about lollipops?
You're joking, aren't you? They're an offensive weapon. Look. They should be illegal. Can you imagine the damage you do with that? Eh? Things could get naughty. Very naughty.
How about some balloons?
You taking a fucking piss? Nonce.
Were you a bit late today, Kate?
Slightly.
Yeah, 2.25 hours. I thought it was tomorrow.
I've got such a busy schedule, not, and I've even forgot it.
Oh, we didn't wait here all night until tomorrow morning.
I don't mean to be late. People should say to put me like, if the job's at 2, they should put me at 1.
Pop singing doesn't need a lot of support, not like opera singing. It doesn't need a lot of stamina. But what singing lessons are all about, they're trying to teach you to use your voice properly. And if you're not breathing properly, then you're going to put tension in your shoulders, you're going to put tension in your throat, and your career won't be a very long one. Yes, your voice will get tired.
Not that it started yet.
Yes. So let's just do na 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 na. Let's do one of those then. Na 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 na. And what's the end? Na 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 na.
Everyone knows you've got cracking tits, because that's why you're on page 3. But whether you're going to have cracking hits, that's the other thing.
The 80,000 capacity Olympic Stadium will host the Paralympic and athletics events at the 2012 Games. The park is the largest construction site in Europe. Thousands of workers are building round the clock to complete the stadium in time for the opening ceremony.
Welcome to the Olympic Park here in London's East End. There are 9,000 people on this site, lots of hard-working, hungry people.
She still needs to fry her mackerel and her cheese quenelles.
10 minutes, okay?
Meanwhile, Neil's custard tart base is ready.
Okay. Right, Neil, what are we going to do?
There's some spare pastry in the fridge.
Okay, okay. Tart, 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 tart. How much more pastry have you got?
Enough.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
His dessert is due in 40 minutes.
Well, I think by some distance, for me, this is the best course.
Panna cotta is gorgeous.
3 wonderful tastes. Well, speaking personally, that was the best dish of the night. And I think I speak for the whole of the table. I think we all feel this was a remarkable achievement given where it had been just a few minutes earlier.
Thank you. The custard tart's ready if you want it.
Thank you.
Okay.
A drama-filled night.
Thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
Thanks.
Really emotional, wasn't he? Yeah. I can understand it. I mean, it's a competition.
I'm feeling a bit emotional at the moment. Things went a bit... of all the times to drop a pastry tart, I think I thought about how stupid my dad would have thought I looked. It's getting too close to the final for this. Everything counts.
Hi, I'm James Brown, and in this series we'll be travelling across the country to investigate some of the biggest and most violent riots of recent times. From the poll tax riots of Trafalgar Square to Strangeways, from football hooliganism to the anti-police riots in Brixton. I'll be talking to those at the eye of the violence, the rioters themselves, the police and the eyewitnesses, to find out what turns a simple demonstration or arrest into full-blown civil disorder. Coming up in this episode, we look at the riots in the north of England in 2001, when the streets of Bradford, Oldham and Burnley exploded in anger, and the worst rioting mainland Britain had seen this millennium.
It seemed like, a war going on,
I could see the bricks flying over police lines, I could see petrol bombs going off.
They just went off, just proper went mad.
Throughout the long hot summer of 2001, riots raged across the north of England. Hundreds of angry young men wreaked havoc in inner cities, and by the end of the summer, the map of racial politics in the country had changed for good. But the big question is this: how did Asian youth, a demographic group unthought about by middle-class England and the white media, suddenly become the winners of Best Newcomer in the Rioter of the Year awards? A mountain of rubble is all that's left of a local successful BMW dealership. The rioters attacked the showroom, liberated the BMWs and set fire to them to push them into the lines of police and to create barricades across the road. The orgy of violence lasted 11 hours, with property all across Manningham being destroyed. The local Labour club, which had been here, was firebombed whilst people were inside. As you can see, there's nothing left but battered remnants of the light fittings and molten concrete. The law came down hard. Despite most having no previous convictions and pleading guilty, the average sentence given to the rioters was 4.5 years.
We've seen them around walking on up and down,
And a lot
they've
of them
got nothing to do now.
And a lot of them regret actually
being there.
Because
they thought if we do it, we ain't gonna get caught. But next thing you know, there's the choppers up there taking pictures. Next thing you know, they're
because they're out now, they've been released, haven't they?
Yeah,
a lot
most of them have. A lot of them.
And are they seen as like heroes or?
No, not at all. They're all regretting it because I know this one man got put in and they had left 2 children back.
Yeah.
And he's missed nearly 2 years, 3 years, major years of his children's life, and he regrets every second.
Lots of celebrities have their wild moments. But there are some who go to the limit, who don't want to stop. They'll risk their lives, their loves, and their fortunes in pursuit of a good time. They're known as Hellraisers, men, and it is really only men, who become famous for their drunken exploits as well as for their careers.
I remember the first meeting of the producer of Women in Love and Oliver Reed in a Sheffield hotel. The producer was rather a camp American, went up and said, "Glad to meet you, Ollie." And Ollie said, and threw him over his shoulder, and he landed on the settee. And by then, Oliver was eating goldfish from the bowl. He regularly ate goldfish, and totally freaked out the American producer, who, as far as I know, didn't speak to Oliver for the rest of the film.
Oh, he liked being a Hellraiser. He enjoyed it. He wanted to amuse people. He wanted to entertain. And he certainly did. Some people didn't think so, but on the whole, most people thought he was a very good entertainer. He wanted to pay for everything. I think that he thought that an actor's job was a bit of a duff job, really, and consequently that he got paid a lot of money for it. And I think he wanted to do a bit of a Robin Hood act and pass the money back to people that perhaps earned it better than he did.
Reed was charming, charismatic, and extremely entertaining. But suddenly, he could change. More than once, he spent a night in the cells.
He wouldn't take any shit from anyone, and if he thought he was being set up, sent up, or whatever, he would bring up his fists. And that probably comes from the fact that his career was nearly ruined because of a barroom brawl in which he didn't react, and someone broke a bottle and jammed it in his face.
Richard Harris has enjoyed a career any actor would be proud of, starring in Camelot, A Man Called Horse, The Field, and Gladiator. But he is probably just as famous for his hell-raising as for his acting. He played the part with such enthusiasm that it almost killed him. Before he was 50, he'd been in intensive care 5 times and had the last rites read by a Franciscan monk.
He said, what would you like? He said, I think it's wise. Why don't you just have a last confession? I'll give you the last rites and you'll feel at peace. I said, I'm at peace already. I've had a wonderful time in my life. I said, Father, do you want to hear my confession? He said, yes. I said, pull up a chair, because you're going to be here for hours. He said, well. And I said, and I promise you this. I said, Father, by the time you hear my full confession, you will wish that you hadn't taken the vow of celibacy. You would love to have had my life. He said, well, let's do a general confession. Are you sorry for your sins? I am. And you ran out the door.
There was one time when he went to throw the telly at the press. He was outside his house in Cheadle, I think, and he picked the telly up, he got all his strength together, and he threw this telly at this, like, double glazing window. Opened it, go down, a big dramatic smash everywhere, and it bounced back on it, and he sort of caught it on his chest, and ended up on his back. So he then went and got the air rifle out and started shooting them from the top window.
John Holmes was living proof that some men are born more equal than others. John Holmes had a 14-inch penis.
Absolutely the biggest penis, dick, cock in the history of the industry.
He was the biggest. It was monumental.
Like trying to suck a telephone pole.
Holmes was porn's first and biggest male star. During his career, he performed in over 2,500 erotic films and claimed to have slept with over 14,000 women.
A happy gardener is one with dirty fingernails, and a happy cook is a fat cook. I never get tired of what I do because I'm a sex fan.
Holmes was the inspiration for the character Dirk Diggler in the Hollywood film Boogie Nights. But John's true story is far more shocking than the movie. It's a tale that reflects the darker side of Tinseltown. A story of sex, drugs, more sex and drugs, more drugs, and murder. Laurie Rose met John on a porn shoot in 1982 and eventually married him. She started seeing him at the house where John was staying with manager Bill Amerson. John was 38, Laurie was a teenager and a starstruck fan.
I was buying coke from John. I didn't do coke. I was one of the few porn stars that actually didn't do drugs. I was too busy making money. You know, I could care less about drugs. But I was coming up here and I was buying coke from John just to see him, just to maybe spend 5 minutes with him, you know. And I didn't really like the stuff.
Laurie now works at an HIV testing clinic for porn stars. Working alongside her is one of the many women who have slept with her late husband.
The legendary Miss Sharon Mitchell.
Sharon's illustrious career in porn spans over 150 films and a Lifetime Achievement Award. She met John in the early days.
I mean, it was like, you know, it was the 70s. Everybody was loaded, you know. And he opened up this briefcase and said, all right, darling, I got this really big dick, you know, and what do you want? I've got everything. And he had, like, all kinds of stuff, you know. And so I said, oh, I'll take some of that, one of those, two of those. And I was so intimidated at the size of his cock. I was like thinking, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna be impaled with this thing, I'm gonna die, I better be really relaxed. So I did like all this uppers, downers, a little bit of heroin, you know. So by the time we did this movie, I looked like a dead woman. My head is like laying on the side of the bed, sort of flopping around. And so...
John may have been dead for 15 years, but his films are still sold all over the world. A major outlet is VCX, one of the largest distributors of porn films on the West Coast. Back in the day, John and Laurie were close friends of VCX boss Bob Augustus.
We have 400 pictures here, of which 40 of them are John's. 10% of what we sell here is John Holmes. He was the only male star we've ever had in this business. He meant something at the box office.
He was the Elvis of porn.
He really was.
What's your greatest memory of him?
The greatest? I saw him the weekend after him and they made, he was with Ginger Lynn.
Yeah.
I think they fucked for a whole weekend.
Probably did.
He was telling me, he said, he's sensational.
Like I said, you know,
I mean, I was laughing. I had to laugh.
Some of the sex
but there's another story I can't tell you.
That's okay.
There's a greater story that I can't tell you.
Some of the sex that happened while they were setting up cameras and stuff, but was better than the sex they got on camera, you know? I'm not an idiot.
He says, he was talking about there's a scene in the movie where he was saying, I'm more, he said that was real, man. I think.